Sahanau bhunaktu sahaviryam karavavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. All right. Is the body and mind complex a manifestation, vyakta, of the avyakta Atma, or is it kalpita manifestation? No, it's the avyakta of the Atma. It's not kalpita. Kalpita would be where you do an imagination of something which is not there in front of you, like Ishvara. So the presence of Ishvara is a kalpita. And in the beginning, then as you progress, what you find is that really even the manifestation is classified as kalpita in the sense that it is just a projection of your mind. So the projection is of one of two kinds. One is the projection of something which is there in front of you, and the other one is which is not there in front of you. So you can imagine things. But what is there in front of you doesn't appear to be kalpita. But eventually, even that becomes an interpretation. So this is what is called as the difference between Ishvara Shrishti and Jiva Shrishti. So the difference between them is that in Ishvara Shrishti, there is manifestation, there is plurality, there is multiplicity, there is variety. And that's the beauty of the whole creation. No two people are alike. I mean, as you know very well, that even two thumbprints are not alike, which is just a mind-boggling thing. So there is tremendous variety. And the whole thing is just very well balanced. But in the Jiva Shrishti, we put our own ideas on top of that. So typical example that is given is that a woman is a Ishvara Shrishti. But how you look upon that woman is Jiva Shrishti. You can look at her from the standpoint she's your mother. You have a certain way of looking at her. You can look at her as your wife. You can look at her as a colleague, as a competitor. All those kinds of things are all depending upon the individuality of the person looking at her. But the fact that she was born and she is now a mother is Ishvara Shrishti. So Ishvara Shrishti, so this is one way to look at it. In the Eka Jiva Vada, what is said is that even the so-called Ishvara Shrishti is also your Shrishti. It's not something which is different. It's not like one person is doing this and now you have to superimpose your own ideas on top of that. So here is Ishvara here is Jiva over here. So in the advanced Vedanta, in the Eka Jiva Vada, it is said, really speaking, and a certain, that will come in the eighth, where the Ishvara is being defined. So we'll hopefully go into that tomorrow morning. But in the Eka Jiva Vada, You are the person who is looking at the whole thing. There's not somebody else who made your mother, and then and the mother was given to you, and then you looked at her as a mother. That's not the case. What the situation is. So this is the thing to see. It's really beautiful. Take a dream. In the dream, you create a lot of people. You create a mother. You create friends. You create a lot of things. Okay? Now, who creates the mother in the dream? Is there a separate Ishvara making a person, and then you decide, I think I want to look upon her as my mother? Is that what happens? No. So, in your generation, you just project the whole dream stock back and barrel. So it is an old person and a young person and a competitor and tigers and rocks. Everything is your projection. So in the Ekajivavada, it is said that the Jagrata Avastha is no different. Is no different. You projected the Jagrata Avastha from scratch. So people say, how can that be? Because you were not, you are a born entity. How can this be? The world was already there and you became born here. But in this advanced Vedanta, it is said, which is the view of the Mahatmas, what is said is, remember we talked about the heaven being right here. So similarly is this. Really speaking, you commissioned, so this is the interesting thing, it's not as though you were born due to a mother and father. But what happens is, you commissioned a mother and father to give rise to your body and mind, and all the other people, everything else. This is your total imagination, just like the dream. So here the argument is that, wait a second, that cannot be, because the dream is a remnant of your previous experiences, isn't it? Dream is actually a remnant of, it's a derived form. All the things that you see are somewhat similar to what you have experienced in the Jagrata Avastha. So it is a derivation. But this one seems to be independent. This is not a derivation. So the answer to that is, it's a derivation of your previous experiences in the previous life. So each life we conjure up a new scene in front of me. And then we go to business. And when you are gone, you will conjure up a brand new scene with new mothers, new fathers, new situations, conducive or non-conducive, and all modified by your karma. So there is no reality other than the observer. You are the observer. And as we were discussing in answer to the question yesterday, I think Jyoti's question on this, and I told you about the ocean, which was, imagine it's a conscious ocean. And so in that analogy, each individual wave is just as real as the ocean. There's no difference between a wave and an ocean, right? So similarly, there's no difference between a jiva and Ishvara. So that what happens is that in the case of a wave, its own shape is also a result of its past karma. I mean, now the example is much more complex. That was just a simple example, because in the case of a wave, you don't have repeated lives or anything like that. Whereas here, you have memories of the past, and based on that, you have a projection of what you project. And in that projection, there are mothers and fathers, and yes, separate from the dream, you need to take some time, because in dream there's not enough time. You have to project mothers and fathers very quickly, in a matter of seconds, and they disappear also. But while they are there, they are just as real as anything else. That's a projection. Here, because it is much more lengthy, it's much longer, and the Jagrata Avastha is repeated many times. Every day you have to meet with the same people and so on. Even though it is mithya, it looks more real than the Swapna Avastha. Nevertheless, it is just a projection like the dream. I mean, I'm giving you some heavy stuff, and I think for the time being you should just be content with the way we are going. This comes with, much later. But be that as it may, this is really, the whole thing in that sense is a kalpita. So this question can be looked at it both ways. Yes, it's a projection. And we will go into the projection part a little bit more in the class tomorrow. But eventually, every projection is a kalpita. That's it. This is how it is. Yeah, and this, it's difficult to talk about these things at such a late stage, and I don't want to really start, because this requires a lot of mimamsa, a lot of thinking and acceptance. And so, yeah.
So what is a kalpita? Can you say it in English?
Kalpita means imagined.
Imagination, okay.
Imagination.
So when we're born, when the body is born, we come with certain genetic factors. We have genetic parents, and we have an association with them. A whole pattern is being projected. Now, is this whole pattern that's being projected, I'm assuming it's coming from past lives, from memories of past lives,
Right.
which are accumulated, and then this dream is projected in another body. But me, myself, awareness, I'm never involved in this. This is what I'm understanding.
I think your general assessment is quite correct. That's exactly what happens. So the observed is a projection. And the relationship of this projection of the observed has to do with a lot of the previous ones. Because according to the laws, you can never do something new. Never do something. It's always a slight adjustment of the previous memory. That's all it is. So that's why even though the swapna avastha, the dream avastha, can be easily seen to be a derivative. What is not understood is that even the Jagrat avastha is a derivative of the previous life.
Right.
So that one goes on. And in and through that, the observer is is necessary for this projection. This is the part that we'll see in the class tomorrow.
I'm very interested in that. Can I do one more question? Is that okay? Now, we have limiting adjuncts from what I learned from Ramji. That's why I don't know what's in your head. I don't know what's in Surendra's head. I don't know his experience because we have limiting, even though we're the one self, we don't know what's actually going on in another person. When people say that you're unlimited, that you become limited, people seem to understand that, oh, I'm going to have the city to know what's in the heads of others, but this unlimited, it is not this at all.
We have nothing to do with that.
Yes.
That's not what it's not important and it's not relevant. We don't even think about that. That's all siddhis.
That's all.
Even though it's possible, sixth sense is possible and so on, but no, that's nothing to do with that.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else want
Hmm.
Description of Shivji. Someone, Swami.
third eye is to negate the reality of the pratyaksha and to look at the mithyatvam of it. So when the third eye for the human being comes up, so the Shiva and the human being, this is the Adhyatmika view. What is Shiva is really me also. And so when my wisdom flowers to the point where I'm able to see that this is really unreal, that is the opening of the third eye. So this is how the consistency is. Then comes Neelakantham. So the Neelakantham means, as you know the big story, that there was a war between Devas and Asuras, and then there was a manthanam of the Samudra with the serpent Kausiki, what's her name? I forget the name of it. And while they were doing it, the serpent first gave a lot of poison out. Vasuki. So it spit out a lot of poison. And the whole thing is done in such a big quantity that the poison was going to just kill everybody. And so everybody was very scared. What do we do? How did this happen? Who's going to help us out? The stories are very funny. They first went to Vishnu and said, "Sir, you help us." And Vishnu said, "Not me. Why should I help it? You go to Shiva. Why don't you just go to him?" So then all the people went to Shiva and said, "Sir, this is the big problem." So Shiva said, "Okay, I'll swallow it. I'll save the whole universe, but then I'll swallow it." Parvati, his wife, said, "No, you are not. That means you will disappear and I will not have a consort anymore. What are you talking about? Let the world be what it is. Why should we worry about them?" This is all Puranic stories. This is all children's stories. And so Shiva said, "No, this is exactly like the story that somebody was telling me, that somebody said there's a husband and wife who were really fighting, and they went to a judge and said, 'Your Honor,' so they said, 'What's the problem? Why are you fighting so much?' So the wife said, 'Your Honor, this guy he's beaten me up a couple of times. Do you know how violent he is? He's just terrible. So really, I think the children all belong to me after this divorce.' So the judge said, 'You're right. You're right.' So then came the husband, sir. The husband said, 'Sir, do you know what she has done? She's not faithful to me, and she's running around with other people, doesn't care about the children, and so on and so forth.' So the judge said, 'You are right.' So both said, 'Swamiji, Judge Saab, both cannot be right.' He says, 'You are right.' So this is exactly what happens. When this Parvati says, 'Don't swallow it,' the Jagat says, 'Swallow it.' So they both are right. So he decided, I have a solution. I'm going to keep it in my neck. And the neck, because of the poison, became blue. So this is the Adhivadaidika view. There's a lot of discussion of this. Okay? What it means is, from an Adhyatmika view, is that Ishvara is very kind and helpful in solving a problem. This is what is called Ashutosha. His name is Ashutosha. Ashutosha means one who is easily pleased. That's not true for human beings. Once we get angry, somebody says, "I'm sorry," and says, "You keep saying you're sorry. You keep doing the same thing all over again. I'm not going to forgive you." You say sorry to Ishvara once, And he'll say, okay, jane do, koi baat nahi. So Ishvara is very, very kind. There's kindness by nature which blesses you is the symbology for Nilakantha. So yeah, it's the same words that are used, but then you have to see what the meaning of it is. That's how it is, yeah. That's how the two are reconciled. Now we never accept at face value the Puranic stories and so on. Like another thing which is very interesting, I just thought of it. You may have seen the Shiva sitting in a burial amongst ghosts. He's there in the ghosts, among the various ghosts that accompany the dead bodies just gone. As you know, as the meaning is, there are ghosts all around. Very scary place. And then he's sitting there, and he's got snakes all over his body. Dangerous cobra snakes, and so on. He's sitting there. So what does that mean? Okay. He's in the midst of all these scary-looking skulls. He's wearing a garland of skulls, and so on. So what does that mean? This is an important thing to see. From an adhyatmic view, it means look at the countenance. Yeah, this is not the story. You don't see all these kinds of things in Dakshinamurti, but on a Shiva, you will see this. Suppose you were to see that. His face would still be very peaceful and quiet in the middle of all that, with his hands like this and all those kinds of things. But so what that means is he's not affected by all these kinds of things. The adhyatmic view is, really speaking, you are surrounded by problems, scary problems, health problems, death staring in the face, wars going on, all kinds of really scary stuff. But in reality, so this is, the word Shivam is used here. Remember that? We saw that in number 6 or 7. Atma is the Shivam. In reality, you're not affected by it. You think you are affected by it. And that's what we need to do Mimamsa on. But be like Shiva. Because in the middle of these scary things, he's not affected. And so that also is an adhyatmic view of Shiva. Yeah. Vishnu is also used. Yeah. So I have to see what the importance of the word Vishnu would be. I don't see offhand. Yeah. But you guys have the books, you can read it.
I think you've talked about this before, but just to review, if you had mentioned that this is all a perception from even before birth, and if someone goes through life, if one were to achieve moksha, the recognition of the knowledge, they would not come back in a new life.
Mm-hmm.
So just to conceptualize that, would they exist, they would just continue to exist as they are, as the consciousness or the Satchidananda,
Yes.
which we can't really imagine what that is. We don't know what that is, but we have learned of it. So we are, I guess we can conceptualize it, but we don't really, we'll never actually know what that is.
That's not true. That's not true. you know exactly who you are. When you are very satisfied, this alam buddhi that we talked about, where at the end of each meal, when we don't want to eat, we have enough that, we have a sense of satisfaction. So at that point in time, hopefully you're not cognizant of your diseases. Right after a meal, you don't say, "Oh my gosh, I'm diabetic." You don't do that. You're just enjoying the meal, regardless of any problems or something like this, and you don't want any more. If somebody gives you another laddu, you say, "That's fine, I'm okay." This is the alam buddhi. That is the alam buddhi that you will be. Or that will be your nature. That's it. Nothing strange or anything like that. You as a very satisfied person will be the very nature. But the problem is that here our alam buddhi is based on dependence on other things. That will go. That will go. Then you will say, I am the very nature of happiness. I am not happy, but I am the very nature of happiness. That's all. But it's the same happiness, same ananda. Same ananda. Sometimes I see these people, they don't really understand. What's his name? This Chopra, what's his name? Deepak Chopra. It was so funny. There was an interview with Deepak Chopra by one of the our Bay Area television hosts. And he was just sitting there and so like this. So she says, "Sir, tell us about consciousness. And what happens in when you become realized soul and so on?" So I was also curious as let's see what he says. And it's very possible that he can do something just for a TV show. Who knows? I shouldn't really do that. But his words are very interesting. He says, we have the normal consciousness when we are dealing with people. But this one is super consciousness. And the other consciousness is really super consciousness. So when you have that, it is something else again. And Swami Dayanandji used to, this is why he never, remember I was telling you how careful he was in choosing words. He wouldn't use philosophy for vidya, for knowledge. One of the things he said, please, he stayed clear of it, and he asked us in the students. And I always, whatever he would say, I just said, yeah, yes, sir, absolutely. He says, do not ever use the word bliss. Why not? For example, it's the same reason that Mr. Chopra is using the word super consciousness. That means what you are there is just a kind of a portion of it. I mean, in a way, I shouldn't really criticize him that much, because what he could be saying is that, your worldly jnanam, which is a reflection, could be called ordinary consciousness. But now he wasn't saying that. He says, oh, consciousness, there had different kind of consciousness. This is a super consciousness. So the word bliss is, Swami Deji, he used to say the same thing. One is ananda, which is normal ananda, means happiness. But then there is bliss. And everybody says, oh my God, I do have ananda, like, I just had some rasgullas, I'm very happy, and laddus, I've had 2 of them already, I'm very happy. But I don't have bliss. Hey, there is one Atma, my dear, one Ananda, Satchidananda, one. It's the same one. The only difference is that it is not, you are not happy because of an experience, you are the nature of happiness. And if you want to call it bliss, fine, go ahead and do that. But it's the same ananda. It's just that the worry and the concern and the of that this is going to go is gone. Because it is not reflected ananda, this is your own. That's it. That's all that happens. So, yeah, I don't know if you had another part of that question. But yeah, it's, this is just the opposite of what the understanding might be, that there will be something that I don't know what that will be. It's just the opposite. It's just you are already today. The same thing. Nothing is going to happen to you, no disappearance. It is our own mistake to say that I'm going to disappear. Why? Because you associate yourself with the attributes that you are possessing. And because of that, the attributes are going to disappear, yes. But you don't disappear. I am aware. And there is no limit to it. This is Ananda. And you will just stay there. And the only thing you would be saying is that, I have the same question as you do, that in the Jivan, Jivan Mukti I can understand. This I could even, I have glimpses of it anyway already. But Videha Mukti, I don't know how that will be, because the pain of the body and how it disappears, how that would be, I don't know, and I don't care. Whatever happens, happens. So that's how that is. Yeah.
Yes. I'm notorious for using the word bliss. Notorious. Because it's quite obvious to me that this peace that I've been experiencing since I'm 16 years old, right? In the beginning it was like a firefly state, and later on it grew. It's a deep happiness, deep feeling of satisfaction. At the same time, it affects the senses. You hear better, you smell better, and the world kind of shines. I know there's people here that have this experience every day. I refer to that as bliss. In Vedanta, they refer to it as anandam, which means happiness. It means satchit ananda. Existence, consciousness, bliss. Is ananda bliss, the word bliss, or satisfaction?
Yeah, I think if you want to do it that way, the ananda is, you can use any word. The thing is that the bliss is used erroneously to say there is an experience that I don't have today, but I will get it later, somehow.
Yes.
And that becomes kalpita. It becomes imagined.
Imagined.
Yeah.
It's coming later.
Correct.
Yeah. But the thing is, when your mind is disturbed and your emotion disturbed, you're completely unconscious of that natural happiness. And so the yogas remove this over time, like the bhakti yoga, the karma yoga, the dhyana, all this, it removes that. So it seems as if you're achieving this thing, but you're not achieving anything. It's just you. This is what Vedanta is saying. What I'm hearing
What
coming out of your mouth
here
constantly.
Also. Yeah, so something similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yesterday you were talking about the koshas.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't mention Ananda kosha. Is that anything to do with the innate happiness of the Atma?
Yeah,
or?
so that's a good, so the Anandamaya kosha means really very relevant to what we are discussing, that the happiness that comes from alam buddhi is also an experienced happiness. So that's a kosha. That's a kosha because it is the experienced happiness involves the right setup. It requires the right conditions. You have to be, it's interesting. They say sometimes when you have enjoyment, you have lots of factors in the enjoyment. Many times it happens. You go to a restaurant or something and you like the food and you say, wow, this was wonderful. And we will have to come back again. And the next time you go there, you don't enjoy it somehow or the other the same way as you did before. So you say, what happened? The reason is that your sense of happiness and satisfaction had two factors. One was the food and, whatever it is. The other one is your own mood, your own mind. You had the right, you were not expecting anything. You were just went into maybe a dhaba with nothing to do. And the food turns out to be very good. So your low expectations and you were satisfied. Next time you go with high expectations and it doesn't measure up. In any case, what I'm saying is that the Anandamaya Kosha that is talked about in Taittiriya Upanishad is experiential happiness. You are beyond experienced happiness. Same thing with Vijnanamaya Kosha. The Vijnanamaya Kosha is actually worth really reading and understanding. And I think I've already talked about it, but just in this context, Vijnanamaya Kosha basically means being alive. That I am alive. This is also a kosha. Because I am alive is also a condition. You're depending upon a number of things holding up together so you feel I am alive. Because I can easily say that, my friend died, she's no longer alive, but I am alive. So it's all conditioned based on how you feel yourself. This is not the truth. You cannot die, you cannot be born, you cannot be alive, you cannot be dead. This needs to be understood. You are the very Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, which is independent of being alive. Being alive is a function of being a human being, with all the same problems that we talked about. It's a role. Being alive is also a role. It's not the person. So Anandamaya Kosha, there also a lot of discussion on this. This is a good point. That how come what is the difference between Ananda Swarupa and Ananda Kosha? This is basically what they talked about.
You had earlier referred to glimpses of Jivan Mukti.
Mm-hmm.
So would that fall into the stage 3 that you are going to talk
Yes,
tomorrow?
of course. Yes.
So with this information, I would like to re-ask my question from yesterday about Videha Mukti,
Mm-hmm.
in which what type of persons would qualify for Videha Mukti. And to me it seems like glimpses of Jivan Mukti stage 3 would qualify for Videha Mukti.
Yeah, sorry, there's no question. The Videha Mukti, the Videha Mukta person automatically becomes Videha Mukti.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no qualification or anything like that. That is you are already free while you're living, and then the body feels you continue to be free. That's it.
Okay, so the verse, maybe my understanding wasn't appropriate in the verse that we had yesterday about Videha Mukti. You wouldn't be achieving Mukti, but because of your state of mind at the time of death, then you would get Mukti. Is that my understanding?
No, no,
correct?
I'm not sure that I understand your question. Restate it again.
So, Videha Mukti would mean that until death you have not attained Mukti, but after...
No. That's not the
Okay,
meaning
all
of
right.
it.
So what could you then clarify what Videha
So
Mukti
what we said was that you are free, you have a vision of freedom, while the body-mind complex is still there, the whole world is still there, you feel free. And this is what is called Jivan Mukti. Okay? So, if for all intents and purposes, it disappears even in the Jivan Mukti, and not intents and purposes completely disappears in Videha Mukti. So let me give you an example. Okay? Swami Akhandananda's example, beautiful example, beautiful. He says, suppose you take a child and outside in the sun, let's say a 3-year-old, and say, what color is the sky? And the child would say, blue. So, this is a mistake, because the sky's color is not blue. In fact, the blueness of the sky is a very good example in Vedanta, because you don't know how it occurs. You have no idea how did Ishvara decide to do, and this is true for all infinite things. Even ocean is blue. Anything which is infinite becomes blue. But anyway, that's a separate thing altogether. The blueness of the sky is not understood by a child. Then, when you become an adult, you find the sky is not blue, it only appears to be blue. So that is like Jivan Mukti. Jivan Mukti means even when an adult looks at a sky, it doesn't say the space has turned blue. The space never turns blue. It never turns dark. It never gets polluted. It never turns blue. It always remains colorless. But if it appears as blue, the adult is not confused, because it says the blueness is an appearance with no reality. This is this is Jivan Mukti. But suppose you look at this room space, even the blueness is also not there. You see? You don't see blueness. That is Videha Mukti. You are still seeing the same. In the case of a blue sky, seeing a blue sky, it is like Jivan Mukti. Because even though there is an appearance, but it has no reality. That is Jivan Mukti. But if you look at this space in a more, not in you can even look at it at dark, or in an enclosed space where the blueness is not there. That's all I'm saying. When the blueness is not there, it really does not even appear blue, and it is not there. So that is the case of the Videha Mukti. Whereas in the Jivan Mukti, at least it appears to be blue, even though it is not there. That's the difference between them.
So,
I think that we probably should do this another time somewhere. Videha Mukti means that it's very simple terms. I don't want to do anything else. It just means that you have, in a sense what you were talking about, the attributes is correct, that there is the attributes are false is Jivan Mukti. Attributes are not there at all is Videha Mukti. Yeah. Okay.
So yes, we could discuss further for more clarifications, but the only thing that I would like to ask now is it true that Jivan Mukti has higher level of conscious, higher level, has reached a better understanding than Videha Mukti?
No. There's no reason to conclude that. No higher, lower, or anything. It is just the real mukti is Jivan Mukti, and there the only thing that happens is that there is some sukha dukkha because of the body, and there is you can withstand that without any problems. As in Raman Maharshi's case, he had cancer and he had a lot of pain, but really speaking, he could just say, yeah, this is just small, nothing, doesn't affect me. This is this is my prarabdha. God has given me. If you look at Swami Dayanandaji's case, he had very severe diabetes, and I used to see him, and he was calm and happy and collected and so on, even though he knew that his time was very limited. And so that really doesn't affect at all. So it's not higher or lower, but that is the first instance of the mukti, when you have a very clear idea about that. And then it becomes inconsequential that the body falls. That's it. There's absolutely no.
So, okay, can you say a little more about your glimpses of Jivan Mukti?
No, what I'm saying is that the glimpses by that, what I mean is that the world doesn't bother me as much. Doesn't bother me. It's not as though that I'm in samadhi all the time. When I'm in samadhi, then of course I don't see anything at all. I'm just with myself. And even if, for example, sometimes I'm sitting in the room with Pamis, she's talking on the phone, and there's things going on and so on, but I'm just completely in my own world. And so that happens. And then the second thing is that the things don't really affect me that much. Whatever happens, even difficult things and so on and so forth. So in that sense, it's kind of like a path towards Jivan Mukti in a way. And one day then will come that I am in complete samadhi with absolutely no idea of what's going on or something like this. And if that happens, then fine, that will happen. I'm not waiting for it. It will happen by itself. Let's conclude with a small chant. So you can just repeat after me. Jai Jai Ram Krishna Hari. Jai Jai Ram Krishna. Jai Jai Ram Krishna Hari. Jai Jai Ram Krishna. Jai Jai Ram Krishna Hari. Jai Jai Ram Krishna. Jai Jai Ram Krishna Hari. Jai Jai Ram Krishna. Jai Jai Ram Krishna Hari. Jai Jai Ram Krishna, Jai Jai Ram Krishna Hari, Jai Jai Ram Krishna, Jai Jai Ram Krishna Hari, Jai Jai Ram Krishna, Jai Jai Ram Krishna Hari, Jai Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Krishna Hari, Jai Jai Ram Krishna, Jai Jai Ram Krishna Hari, Jai Jai Ram Krishna, Jai Jai Ram Krishna Hari, Jai Jai Ram Krishna, Jai Jai Ram Krishna Hari, Jai Ram Krishna Hari, Jai Jai Ram Krishna Hari, Jai Jai Ram Krishna, Jai Jai Ram Krishna Hari, Jai Jai Ram Krishna Hari, Jai Jai Ram Krishna Hari, Jai Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Krishna Hari, Jai Jai Ram Krishna, Jai Jai Ram Krishna Hari, Jai Jai Ram Krishna Hari. Swasti prajabhyah paripalayantam nyayena margena mahim mahisha go brahmanebhyah shubhamastu nityam loka samasta sukhino bhavantu kale varshatu parjanya prithvi sasya shalini desho yam shobharahitaha brahmana santu nirbhaya sarve bhavantu sukhina sarve santu niramaya sarve bhadrani pashyantu ma kaschid dukkha bhagvate asato ma satkamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamada Purnameva Vashishyate